Hi there, and welcome to episode 319 of the Ski Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Martin, and today is the fifth in our series of Chamonix stories. If you are a regular listener, you'll know that I spent 2 months in Chamonix last winter. In episode 313, I focused on what makes the resort so special, from history to high mountain, glaciers to guides. But as I was interviewing people from around the valley, it soon became clear that I couldn't tell all their stories within a single episode. And so this series came together. I have 6 Chamonix stories to share with you, all touching on different elements of what makes Chamonix such a special destination. In today's episode, I'm joined by Johno Jacobs, founder of Ronin skis. As you'll hear in this interview, Ronin is a passion project for Johno. Every ski is handmade and custom built for its owner, with a lot of thought put into making Ronin skis as sustainable as possible. I really enjoyed our chat. I'm sure you will too. So let's have a listen to my conversation with Johno Jacobs from Ronin Skis. I'm here with Johno Jacobs, the founder of Ronin Skis, a Chamonix-specific brand. Really good to speak to you, Johno. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you doing, Ian?
Yeah, good. And whereabouts are you? You're in Chamonix somewhere, but
I'm based up on the Brevant Hill in Moosu.
Oh, okay. And I'm really interested about Ronin skis. It was a tip-off from the tourist office to have a look at them. It seemed fascinating to me. It would be interesting perhaps to know how long you've been in Chamonix and what prompted you to set up the brand.
I've been in Chamonix about 20 years now. If I'm really honest, I'm not super good with years. It might be 21, it might be 19, but around that period of time. And the initial motivation to set up Ronin, there really wasn't motivation to set up Ronin. There was motivation to build skis. And then what came was that I really enjoyed the process and I enjoyed building skis for friends and family, and they liked the skis. And so, at that time, I didn't really have much direction other than trying to ski and climb as much as I could. But I was really enjoying building skis. So then slowly I started thinking about how I could turn this into a business or a real thing. And yeah, that's how it started. That's where it began.
Oh, it sounds very modest there. I think building your own skis is probably something that's beyond a lot of people. I was reading on your website earlier that when you built the first ones, it was very much a kind of make it up as you go along. You picked out some components from a fridge you found.
I honestly have to attribute my first pair of skis to someone else, a friend, Tom Greenall, who he had worked for a small company in the States. He then came back and was like, I think we can build, skis in the garage. And I asked if I could tag along in the process. It was himself and 2 other flatmates. And it was funny because they had started doing the research and, started working how to problem solve all these issues that you have with ski making, how to machine the cores, how to actually press the skis, which is where the vacuum pump from the back of a refrigerator comes in. And I, 2 days into the process, asked if I could tag along, which is actually why my first pair of skis was called the Freeloader, was because I felt like I had just coasted along on their knowledge.
Well, it's interesting, the knowledge. And you mentioned Tom Greenall. I actually know Tom, and he's featured on the podcast
awesome.
before because we covered his journey about how he became a piste. And not many British people have actually done that. But the name then, Ronin, to me, it summons up movies, I guess, like the Seven Samurai and things like that. There's something about the samurai spirit that you feel is represented in the skis?
Well, even more than the samurai spirit, it's like the Ronin were samurai whose master was killed or lost in battle. And, there was feudal law at the time didn't allow them to find new employment or to find a new master to serve. And so the idea of being forced to walk your own path, to make your own way in the world, is that energy is really what it felt very authentic and resonated with me when I started thinking about Ronin and, in one way, what I wanted to do with the business, but in another way, the type of people I wanted to connect to, who are people who are happy to walk their own line, Yeah. And so, when you start thinking about a name for a business, there's a bunch of options out there. And this one just kind of slowly floated to the top. I had known the term. It's funny. there's certain words that you're like, oh, I like that word, something about it. And then diving deeper into the meaning, I was like, this feels really good. And so that's why I chose it.
Fantastic. It is a very memorable name, and I think it sums it up. And what you were looking to do, you mentioned how initially you wanted to create skis for yourself that you enjoyed skiing on and making them for friends. But I think I also read on the website that your first order came because someone spotted maybe a friend of yours skiing on one of your pairs.
Yeah, it was my girlfriend. And so my second pair of skis was with her, or built with her, for her. And a friend of hers who's a mountain guide was skiing with a client of his. And the client was like, wow, this is really interesting. What are you doing? Kind of wild. He had decided to open a heli ski lodge in Italy. And I think he wanted something unique for the lodge and something special. And so, kind of pretty insanely, he ordered, I think it was 8 pairs of, full reverse camber, 125 wide powder skis that I built. And that was the first order for Ronin, or for me, it wasn't even Ronin at that stage, but it was like this light bulb moment of someone going, hey, I will buy your product from you, and me going like, cool, I can do this. Yeah, very transformative, pivotal.
Yeah, fantastic. And now the skis themselves, they are effectively very limited in number. I think you make around 50 pairs annually. Is that right?
I am doing more, and I should actually change the website because it's grown to about 75 pairs a year. But yeah, I build every pair start to finish, and I customize each pair to the person who is buying it. So everything's built to order and made for you. But it means that I'm very busy. And around that number, I think, is realistically what I can sustain without like completely running myself into the ground and killing my own winter experience.
That which is an important part of it, and that is fantastic. They are built to order and customize as well. And just to emphasize in relation to the skis, we're looking at lightweight touring free ride skis. I was really interested to read about some of the sustainability and the thought that you've put into the construction of the skis. Really, another phrase I read on the website, a rejection of disposable ski culture. You're looking to try and get skis that are going to be longer lasting and have a lower impact.
Yeah, totally. I think, we're all aware that we live in a world where stuff is basically designed to fail after a certain period of time. I'm sure if you talk to your grandmother about the toaster that she used or the blender, she'd be like, yeah, well, this came from my grandmother. It's like a family heirloom that's passed down generation after generation. It's not like that information has somehow been lost. The difference is that if you want to build an appliance that lasts 20 years, it's going to cost like 3 times the amount of a disposable appliance that comes from whatever. I don't want to throw China under the bus, but it is a conscious choice. And I've got friends who work and design for big ski brands where part of the design brief is that they want a ski to last a year for a hard user or a core user. And that is fucking terrifying, man. You can look at it as, if you take money is like your life energy, right? Holistically, if you look at it that way. So you can go very deep into this. You're taking someone's time and disrespecting it to the point where you want them to like buy something that is unnecessary to buy again in 1 year's time. Or you can choose to create something that will last longer. That's like, for the planet, for the individual, for that person's experience. For me, I have the opportunity to go like, what do I want to create, right? What do I want to deliver? Apart from the ski experience and the fact that whatever happiness, that all is one side. I am very lucky that I answer just to myself and to the person I built a pair of skis for. And I'm like, I am choosing to build it with very hard wearing base and edge material, oversized like sidewalls, and then I can be deliberate in the choice of materials like my epoxy. It's not clean by any means, but 30% of the chemicals used in the epoxy that I use are reclaimed from other industries that would be waste products. So you're like, cool, it's the best version out there that I can use without compromising the product. Bamboo sidewalls to replace plastic sidewalls. It's because they add to the ski's flex and like feeling, adding like poppiness and liveliness. But also, if you put 8 millimeters of bamboo above your edge, it is very unlikely that you're going to break it, because traditionally 2 millimeters of plastic is used to protect your edge. And people are like, well, I wonder why my ski broke. It's like, well, firstly, if you hit a rock hard enough with anything, it'll break. But it's because it's, I don't want to say designed to break, but it's not designed to last. And, you know, therein is the problem. And what people miss sometimes when you're talking about like longevity of a ski, impact, sustainability, and also, and then price point, you know, like my skis are expensive. You can't like get around the fact that they are, but there's a reason they're expensive.
Sure. Well, I think we'll come to the price. Just in respect of the construction of the ski itself, you're saying it's impossible to make something without some kind of impact, but you have looked at different ways to minimize that. And you're talking about the epoxy resin. Also, though, you've taken into consideration the flax fiber and the wood that you use as well.
Yeah. So if you had to do like an A/B test of a ski from anyone else or like a large manufacturer who are using traditional methods versus a pair of my skis. And this is very important. It doesn't matter how eco your ski is if it doesn't perform at least as well as anything else on the market. And so what I've chosen to, or where I've chosen to lean on more sustainable materials are like the epoxy, which is, like I said, 30% reclaimed, and replacing certain plastics like ABS in the sidewalls with bamboo. Flax fiber is another really big one. And probably for me, the thing that makes my skis feel the most unique and special is actually the flax, because it replaces carbon fiber or fiberglass with a completely natural composite that outperforms both of them. And this is where it's super cool, actually. It's a miracle fiber. It is ultra damp, and you can build very lightweight skis that don't ski like ultra lightweight carbon fiber, kind of nervous, twitchy misery sticks. You create damp, fantastic feeling skis that are better for the planet.
And that flax is sourced from within France as well, right?
So the plant or the flax is grown in France and Belgium, but it's manufactured, I think, in Switzerland at the moment. It's a Swiss company, Bcomp, who
so
specialize.
It's local. And then the wood you're using comes from certified sources as well?
It comes from Slovenia, you know, from a core manufacturer there. So.
Oh, and all of that, you know, contribution means that you have a longer lasting ski, but it's also, as you mentioned before, poppy, a lively ski, the sort of ski that you would want to ski on, and your customers who are having skis built to order would want to ski on as well.
Yeah, totally. You know, like I'm very proud of the product, and there's a lot of very, very happy people out there because of that. You know, when I first started Ronin, they were very basic skis, you know, just like fiberglass, you know, white ash wood cores. And I actually don't think that I was ready to really dive into the responsibility of starting a brand and what that meant. I had someone order some skis and I was like, okay, this is possible. And so I built some skis with the knowledge I had. I probably built like 25 pairs or something. And then over 2.5 years, sold them slowly to friends and family. You know, I'd come up with the Ronin name. But then I was like, okay, what are you actually doing? And what would really excite you? Because people would say to me like, hey, you know, tell us about your skis. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. And I'm working my shapes and things like that. And they were like, okay, cool. That's interesting. And I realized like there was something missing. Quite quickly, I was like, I can do better. I can do much better. And so I spent an entire year tearing the ski apart, like going back to the drawing board and really looking at, okay, so what's the holy grail? It's light, it's playful. It does what other skis can do or outperforms them, but in a much lighter package. And how would I access that? And so I started playing with carbon. I started playing with flax. You know, I was introduced to it and actually through Tom Greenall, which is fantastic. And so I came up with the recipe that I'm generally using today, like, harder bases, harder edges, just so that they last longer, and then the more sustainable options where I can.
And if someone was interested, they can obviously go to your website, and I'll put a link into the show notes. But you've got skis available in quite a wide range, and just tell us what that range is and what the sort of costs are.
Oh, yeah. So each pair of skis is 1,400 euros, and that includes the ski, and I then customize the ski for you after having a conversation with you about what you are looking for. So based on your weight, based on your intended use, are you ski touring? Are you not? Do you like to jump off of cliffs? Do you come from a racing background? Do you like to get shot out of your turns? Or would you like a more relaxed feeling ski? Do you ski a forward leaning position? Or, are you more center mounted and enjoy, pivoting? Like all these questions we run through, and then I put the skis together for you. And the range at the moment runs from a 70 millimeter asymmetric piste specific carving ski all the way up to 122 millimeter full reverse camber, like powder gun, you could describe it. But yeah, I think I've got 7 skis in the lineup at the moment, something like that.
Cool. It sounds fantastic. I think what really comes across is how passionate you are about it, how much pleasure it gives you creating those skis, the conversations. I mean, it's so rare, I think, in any kind of business these days where you would have a conversation like that with a customer and then be able to create something that is so specific to them. And that is worth the premium. And the fact that you've generated a lifestyle here in Chamonix, in a place that you love, to create a product that gives other people the opportunity to sample that as well. I think it's fantastic. Well done to you.
Cool. Thanks very much, man. That's awesome.
I hope you enjoyed my chat with Johno and this look at another aspect of Chamonix. I love getting feedback from our listeners. You can do that by leaving a comment on Spotify, Instagram or Facebook, or drop me an email to theskipodcast@gmail.com. We're also on WhatsApp, where I release exclusive material ahead of each episode. Look in the show notes for all those links. I have had feedback from several listeners since our last episode. Eric Jan Schutter said, I looked up Oak, which was episode 316, and it looks cool. Keep up the good work. And Louise Cotter said, episode 318 was fabulous. Shemi Alcott is an inspiration for anybody to listen to. There are now 319 episodes of the Ski Podcast to catch up with, and I had a look earlier, 223 of those were listened to in the last week alone. So if you would like to get some winter into your life this summer, then just go to theskipodcast.com. From those 319 episodes, there are so many great listens in there. Just have a search around the tags and categories and you're bound to find something of interest that will tell you a little bit more about the great world of snow sports that we love. And if you do enjoy the podcast and you want to help out, you are very welcome to buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/ski podcast. Right, I will be back next week with another regular episode in which we'll be finding out how a Brit managed to get elected as a councillor in Meribel and how summer skiing in Ladies Alp has gone. Until then, listener, thank you for joining us wherever in the world you're listening right now. And until next time, goodbye.